Okay, I'm gonna dial into this thing now. Here we go.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing? Everything working? Everything sounding all right?
I think so. For now, it seems good.
Okay, awesome.
It's nice to see you. Thanks for
You
doing
too, of
this.
course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I've got a couple housekeeping things to go through with you.
Sounds good.
Uh,
Just so you know, we're on my channel as well, live. Just if as long as you
I
don't
know.
mind. Go, go.
I know.
Cool.
They've told me that this
Okay,
is
good.
happening.
Good, good, good.
So it's funny for me because it's the first time that I'm actually doing this with video.
Yeah.
I've always like been hiding. So I'm like, oh my God, are we really doing this? But we are.
It's all good. It's all
So
good.
I'm still going to take you through the housekeeping stuff,
Sounds
even
good.
though some of it's not going to really make sense to the people watching on your end, but it's going to make sense for us
No
on this
worries.
end. So the first thing is, how do I actually pronounce your full name? Is it Matthew Heafy? Is that correct?
Matthew Kiichi Heafy.
Kiichi
Yeah,
Heafy.
it's a
Okay.
tricky. The middle and last names are tricky, but Heafy, even though it's not spelled like
Heafy.
Heafy. Yeah, Heafy.
Heafy. Gotcha. Okay, so that's the first thing out of the way. The second thing on your channel, do you keep it PG-13 or do you guys swear on the channel sometimes? Because I'm known for swearing.
You're please welcome to say anything you'd like, anything you'd like. I do because I say the F word probably hundreds, if not thousands, of times on stage. I try to pull it back,
Hmm.
and I actually learned that from one of my good friends who just rated the channel, Dakota's. Like I noticed when he games, he doesn't really have the need, like he doesn't have to use profanity. So I actually learned
Yeah.
that from him, and I just kind of
Okay.
by example. He didn't say like that was his thing, but I noticed he never did. So actually,
Yeah.
I never really do. Like
I'm
even in
trying
games.
to pull back a little
No, but go
bit,
for it. My channel loves it.
but it comes out.
They love it.
What am I
Go
gonna
for
do?
it.
What are you gonna do? Okay, so out of the housekeeping things, if anything goes wrong, like sometimes it kicks us out. It
Oh,
doesn't
it's all
happen
good.
often
Uh,
that we get kicked out, but just hang tight and we'll come back in and start recording again. We're not recording on my end
No
yet.
worries. I have something
Um,
catastrophically going wrong every single stream, and my head is
okay,
actually
yeah.
in an animation of a hot tub right now. So don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right.
I actually had no issues until the last three podcasts, and then
Yeah,
everything started going
it's
wrong.
all good.
So
There's my drummer.
some
His stream breaks at least 5 times a day. He's always
okay,
panicking.
so
So
so it might break.
we're all
Maybe
used
it
to it.
won't.
We're fine. It's all
Maybe
good.
it won't. So we're getting recorded on two different sound lines. So actually, perfect that you just did that because when I'm talking, you can totally drink, and we're not going to hear that. And if you're talking, I can do the same thing out of my
Awesome.
ridiculous bottle.
Awesome.
So I know you got sent the agenda of the things that we might talk about. I do tend to steer clear of the agenda, as in
It's
I don't
fine.
steer clear of it. I use it kind of as a baseline for myself because I just find that things come out a lot more normal
Yeah, sounds good.
and when we improvise and we just talk about stuff. And really important is that when we finish, that you don't turn off the browser
Okay.
because the files need to upload.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Where are you calling from today? What country, city?
I'm sitting in Warsaw right now in Poland.
Awesome. Dziękuję.
Yeah.
Jak się masz?
Oh, very nice. Very nice. And where are you? I mean, I know you're in the States, but whereabouts?
Orlando, Florida.
Okay,
It's
cool.
just hot here all the time.
Okay. Yeah,
Hot
I'm
and
kind of
weird.
jealous.
Yeah, hot and
I'm
weird. That's
jealous.
Florida.
It's 17 degrees here today
It's
and it's like spring.
95 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is. C.
I
Someone in
don't
the
know
chat
what
will
that
let me know.
is.
They'll let me know in a sec.
Yeah, I don't do your American
Our
degree
measurements don't
things.
make sense. I mean,
They
the
don't.
ruler is in units of 12, which makes no sense.
Right? Like, why would you guys do that?
Yeah,
And your spelling too. I'm sorry.
it's pretty
Why?
strange. It's pretty
You
strange.
guys need to have a meeting about that.
Yep. But I still think like it's funny because I was having this discussion about like in the UK or like the way they speak in Britain, how pudding is all desserts. I don't know if it's like that in Poland as well, but like in
Oh,
America it's
no.
desserts and a pudding is a dessert, but the Brits pudding is all desserts. So
Oh, I didn't know
ice cream is
this.
a pudding, cake is a pudding, donuts are a
Oh,
pudding. Yeah, it's very
that's really
strange. It's
weird.
very
They
weird.
need to have a meeting about that too,
Yes, they need to fix
actually.
that. They need to fix
All
that.
right. So listen, before we start, the last thing, it's just because I kind of go off script. If there's any question that I ask you that you're like, yeah, I don't really want to answer that,
Oh, I've been
just
asked
you know.
everything ever, and I'm totally fine with whatever you got.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to hit record
Cool.
and we're going to be able to get this show on the road on this side.
That's good.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right. So today we're doing things a little bit differently. Not only is the podcast being recorded as usual, it's also being streamed by today's guest, Matt Heafy. Hi, Matt. Thanks so much for being here.
Dziękuję.
Oh, thank you. So this whole thing feels kind of really weird and meta to me that like we're recording on this end and you're streaming it. Why did you suggest to do it this way?
I'm normally streaming so much anyway. Like ever since I started streaming 4 years ago on Twitch. 3.5 years ago is when I implemented this schedule of 5 days a week through the weekday, 2 streams a day without fail, and 7 days a week on tour, essentially, unless I'm traveling. So whenever we're proposed with something, and Victoria's amazing, and she mentioned having me like on a connection through having on the show, I said I'd love
Yeah.
to, but if we can't do it during live, I'm kind of hard to nail down for a time. And when everyone said they were cool with it being live, I was like, we can absolutely do it this way. So basically, whenever I've got things, I try to double up because I'm always going to be streaming anyway, and the chat loves these conversations.
Okay, so you kind of answered a lot of my questions in this, but I want to go deeper into it. So when exactly did you start streaming and why did you do this?
We played a show in Barcelona, Spain. We just finished, and after the show, the promoter,
love
it's so awesome. The
Barcelona.
food there's amazing. And the promoter came up and afterwards and said, "Hey, there's some YouTubers that want to meet you." We're kind of like, "Oh yeah, everyone's on YouTube. Who is it?" And we look it up and we notice, all right, this main dude's got 7 million subs, and his buddy's got 2 million subs, and his buddy has 500,000 subs. We're like, yes, we'll gladly meet them. We met them, super cool. They're good friends of ours. They've joined us on stage a couple times. They've sang and screamed with us for a couple songs. Still keep in touch to this day. And when they left the room, I said I should start making videos on YouTube. And it was actually our bass player, Paulo, that looked at me and goes, "Why don't you try Twitch instead?" I was like, "Oh, I've heard of that. It's live video game streaming, right?" He's like, "Yeah, look it up." So I went home after watching a lot of streams on tour. Went home and started streaming on a PS4. Just a really rough setup, like two to five people watching me at a time for 30
How
minutes.
long ago was this?
This
Like
would have been
4 years
4
ago?
years. Yeah, I have the
Okay.
exact date somewhere on my phone.
Okay.
So about 4 years ago, started streaming. It was mainly a little bit of Fallout, a little bit of Overwatch, a little bit of Call of Duty. Playing kind of badly with a PS4 webcam.
Okay,
had
so
an
you were
iPad.
literally streaming, like you were gaming streaming.
Yes, and it was in my living room
Okay.
too, so I was super far back from the screen. I didn't really know you're supposed to like
Okay.
talk to the people or like thank them for things, and so it was really rough. But I loved it. It was like I was like,
Okay.
man, there are 5 people that want to watch me do badly in video games. This is amazing. So I was into it. I kept it going and kept it going between tours. And when I'd go on tour, there was no real way to keep it up. But I was invited to Twitch HQ by 2 people, Brandon and John. That's Volition and Meme Dude. They invited me down there. They gave me a tour of HQ. I was blown away, and they lent me this thing called the Gun Run IRL backpack. It's a backpack that you can stream anything from. So it's 4 hotspots with 4 SIM cards, a battery, an HD camera, all this stuff, and it sits in a backpack. So I started streaming. I streamed the San Francisco show that night, and the
Whoa,
Trivium.
so wait. This is like a new thing to me.
Yeah.
What is this backpack? Like
Okay.
you can just stream your life kind of live?
Yes. So it's it's not too expensive. I think that the cost like $2,500 to $3,000 for the backpack itself, but it's 4
Okay.
hotspots, a live U unit which can telecast to any device that you give it, an RTMP server, I believe RTMP or RTMP. So it goes on there. There's an HD camera and a battery, but you also have to have
Wow.
4 cell phone plans that are they have to be unlimited, they have to be unlocked. So there's a company that does that. The company at the time is called
Okay.
Unlimited IRL. They still sell the backpacks. They no longer do the data terms, but now that data term is done by LiveU. So if someone want to do that, they
Okay.
book it off of LiveU. They buy the backpack off Unlimited IRL, but Twitch already had the account. So I streamed it from upstairs, invited a bunch of Twitch HQ out. Everybody loved it. The Trivium fans freaking loved it. I noticed, wow, there's a lot of people to watch the stream. So I was feeling it. We do the rest of the shows with that backpack. Twitch let me borrow that thing, and I'd go home and get back to game streams.
Wow.
My wife and I, at the time, before we found a tattooer in Florida, we'd always go to San Francisco to get tattooed. We'd do a food vacation, stay at a hotel there, get all our tattoos done. And
I've never done a tattoo vacation. Why haven't I done this?
it's cool, but you're also like oozing tattoo juice to like the
that's
recovery
true.
days, so it kind of hand in hand.
Yeah. Okay.
But we met with John and Brandon every night there. John took us all to our first 3-star Michelin restaurant, which was incredible. It's things that I don't normally get to do in Orlando. So he took us to that, and I remember having a conversation with him and Brandon. I was like, man, I love streaming so much. I wish I could do it more. I can't because I have to practice X amount of hours a day. As I was saying, 5 to 7 days a week, 1 to 4 hours a day of singing, screaming, guitar playing to keep up the shape of the vocals, keep up the shape of the muscle memory of what I need to do. Because 2014, I blew my voice out because I found out that I was singing and screaming incorrectly for the last 15 years, basically my entire career, and I was about to destroy my voice permanently. So I met.
Okay, pause.
Yep.
Hang on. Did you ever get like voice lessons? So someone taught you that
I
you would.
had a
No
couple.
one taught you correctly
No.
how to scream.
They
No?
weren't
Okay.
sure. They weren't sure if I was doing it right or not. I saw vocal
Okay.
doctors. I did a couple lessons with a couple screaming coaches, and they're like, "Oh, this is right, I think." I was like, "Okay, I guess so."
Yeah, because that shit can really fuck up your voice,
Yes.
like big time.
So the
Yeah.
doctor, when they took a look at my voice, they're like, "You're this close to needing surgery and being done singing and screaming because of
Wow.
the damage you've done." Amazingly, I
Wow.
received a text right when that tour's canceled from Matt from Avenged Sevenfold. He's like, "Hey, I just heard about your voice. Anything I can do to help, let me know." I was like, "Yes, what did you do?" He's like, "You need to train with Ron Anderson." So I started training with his vocal teacher who's taught. His main student right now is The Weeknd. He's taught Adam Levine, Kelly Clarkson, Axl Rose, Chris Cornell, Matt Sanders.
So he probably knows what he's doing.
Yes. And Ron's method, he was telling me that he sings doing lessons like 4 hours a day, essentially 5 to 7 days a week. And that blew my mind because most touring rock and metal guys, when they're off tour, they don't really practice their vocals. They're like, all right, I'm going to get in shape 2 weeks before the tour because that's just what we all did. That's what I did my entire life. But I realized in order to correct the 15 years of bad habits, I had to log more hours of good habit versus bad habit. Now, 15 years of time logged against starting 2-3 months in, I was like, how do I do this? And the math was, 5 days a week, 2 to 4 to 5 hours a day. And that's what I knew I needed to do. So when I mentioned this is my regiment, John and Brandon, they said, why don't you stream that? I said, John and Brandon, no one wants to watch me play Trivium songs every day and do vocal exercises backstage and watch the shows every day. They're like, try it out.
Surprise.
I did it. The channel completely changed. More and more people came in. I started upgrading my rig a little bit, making it more music focused, and realizing I was having more fun because, let's face it, all us band guys getting to streaming, none of us are ever going to become the next Ninja, Shroud, Nick Merckx, Dakotas. It's not going to happen because all of those guys picked up gaming when we picked up our instruments. So they will always be the stars of the gaming world. But why not show what you do? And I was like, all right, well, why not show what I'm actually good at? And I am the best Matt Heafy for all the Matt Heafy things in the world, so let's stream that.
Right.
That's when the channel shifted, and I became obviously so into it. It was not only the thing I was essentially doing already that I didn't want to do alone. Trivium has also been a band. Like there's a multifaceted reason why I stream. Trivium has never really been a press band or a band's band. We're not the band that gets all the magazine covers, not a band that gets all the awards.
Legit, honest to God, I'd never heard of you guys. I mean, you guys aren't like my type of music anyway, but like, yeah, I had to do some Googling.
There you go. However, Poland is now one of our best countries in the entire planet.
I'm not surprised because they like that kind of music.
Yes, they love it. They love it.
They
But
do-
I'll
they
show
do
you.
love it.
I'll recommend a song. Listen to Heart from Your Hate and Die in Your Arms.
Okay.
Start with those.
All right.
Because
I will do
we
it.
have such a breadth of stuff that if you pick the super intense stuff, you're like, oh, it's that kind of band. But we also have stuff over here. So
I will definitely check it
awesome.
out.
So we've never quite been a press band. Like we're not the band that gets all the awards and isn't hyped up by press people everywhere. We're not the kind of band that other bands are always hyping up. But we have always had the greatest fans, the ones that have allowed us to make music and be able to feed and clothe ourselves from making music. So the fact that I could provide a place where these people who have allowed me to do that my entire life can also just hang out, I can give back, I get to meet these people, know them. The channel for me and for all of them, it's whether it's your punching bag or your therapist couch or your bar or your brunch hangout or your live music venue, whatever it is, this channel is that. And I've met a lot of people even through these last 16 months who are like, it's been me locked up by myself, and to have this channel and to be able to meet all these great, amazing people and to speak to them every single day has saved my life, essentially. So that's what this channel is for me, and it's that multifaceted reason as to why I want to keep doing this.
Do you think that is your channel predominantly your music fans?
When I first started streaming on Twitch and it first started truly picking up, it wasn't that I started streaming on Twitch and that a bunch of people, Gen Pop Twitch viewers watching Ninja, came over and watched me. That's not what it was. But what it was me explaining to the Trivium fan base relentlessly, hey, come watch me on Twitch. Come watch me on Twitch. Come watch me on Twitch. And it's so hard to port your fans from one thing to another. Trivium fans are used to going to a Trivium show, used to listening to Trivium, whether CD or playing on DSP, but for us to explain to them to check out this new social media that's mainly about gaming, but I'm going to play music for you, was a confusing thing. But right when pandemic and lockdowns happened, people were like, now I have time. Now I can look up what he's been talking about for the last, I guess at that point it was 3 years, essentially, that I've already been streaming. So for this last full year, the channel has done very, very well because people have been home and they've had the time to be able to be here.
So was that the turning point, the pandemic?
I think the channel definitely blew up more so than it was because people were home. But thankfully, I already had everything set up. Like the infrastructure was already there. The channel already worked. I already had all the gear. I already had everything going. The channel was business as usual. I didn't change the schedule. The
Mm-hmm.
same schedule was already happening, and people were able to jump in. So nowadays, I don't know. I used to think it was like 90 to 95 to 99%. It was Trivium fans on my channel was the majority. Now I'd say it's maybe 75 to 80% Trivium fans first, and the other ones were Twitch viewers first, which is pretty impressive.
Okay. And what does your schedule look like? Because I'm not sure if, I remember the times correctly, but you stream from like 9 a.m. to 3 every
So
single
it's
day,
Monday through
something like
Friday.
this.
I do 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and then I've got
Okay.
a break, and then 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. and that's Monday through
Okay.
Friday. On tour, it's different daily, and I try to always make sure my social posts are posting exactly when to be there.
Okay. And and what do you usually stream these days?
About 75 to 90% of a stream will be me playing music. The
Mm-hmm.
other time, that 25 to 5 to 10% of the time is me playing games.
Okay.
Games is usually when the Trivium majority fans kind of start to tune out because they're here for the music. You know, they're not necessarily
Right.
like ready to watch me not do that well at games. But I feel like as I get a little bit better at certain games, maybe that viewership goes up a little bit during that game. But I noticed
Right.
that metal fans, Trivium fans, do not like the graphics of my first favorite games to stream, which would be Overwatch, Fortnite, Valorant. They're not in the cartoony graphics. And I always used to joke,
Mm-hmm.
man, if I stream Call of Duty all the time, I bet people would watch. And coincidentally, Call of Duty is now my favorite game to stream. And now people are pretty cool with that, but they prefer to watch me do well at what I do and really enjoy it. I think that's at the heart of what Twitch is. People want to watch people do well and enjoy something that they're good at. That's what they
Yeah.
want to see. So that's why when it's music, it makes sense. But when it's me stinking at a video game and being miserable over it, they don't really want to see that.
Right. Right. Do you think that no, different question. How did you connect with your fans before you were streaming
It
as a
was
band and
social media,
you
like social media, but it wasn't really that great. It was actually the South America tour where my wife, who's been essentially the creative designer or the creative director for our band since 2007 or 2008, she's like,
wow.
"You guys need to work on your Instagrams." And we're like, "What's Instagram?" And we started
What's
doing a little bit, and
Instagram?
then she helped our band. I think was at like 30K. I was at like 5K, and then she came out on a tour and was doing constant posting for us for Instagram, and the band one went up to a couple 100,000, and then now my personals has grown as well. So I make sure anytime there's a stream coming up, I post on every single one of my socials. It seems a lot more exhausting than it is, but it's a source image or a video. I have the text ready to go. I copy paste the text and just use that same picture across all the platforms. So if I'm prepping for a stream and I have a good video clip, TikTok, Instagram story, Facebook story, Twitter, YouTube story, YouTube community post, Discord. So I post the same thing on all of those to blanket everybody. Hey, 9 a.m., 3 p.m., or 9:30, 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Yeah, and then if it's something cool that happened on the channel, that feeds down the exact opposite way. You know, all those socials going up.
Okay. And with the music, because you stream your music for your fans, and I'm sure they love that because they can probably get you to, do like their favorite song or whatever. Are you mainly playing your own music, or do you also do covers, or do you even compose during
Mhm.
the stream?
Nowadays, it's majority of the time me playing Trivium requests for the people that come and say, I want to hear this on this song. And it's
Yeah.
anywhere from 30 to 60 to 90 minutes of playing music. When the channel, in the middle era of this channel, we had a thing called Kiichi Heafy Karaoke where we would do like an auction style bidding starting at $1 of someone doing a request. And I think we've done like 300 or 400 covers where I take a song,
Wow.
I listen to it for typically the first time ever, sometimes not even the full song, and I kind of have it in my head and I transform it to something different. So if it's a death metal song, I make it into a sung country song. If it's a country song, I turn it into a death metal
Wow.
song. So I try to always do the opposite. And we've done a lot. And some of those have been spurring really cool things now. Like last week, from doing actually the panel that I did with Victoria before, there was another panelist on there named Danny, who has an agency called Asian Agent. And what they do is expose North America to K pop artists. And he said, hey,
Right.
you should cover one of my artists, Ace. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I did the whole thing on stream, had to learn how to rap and sing and scream in Korean, and learn this song from ground up and make a metal version of it. So that just came out on all the music outlets last week. Next month, the first week of the month, I actually did a collaboration with Richard Marx, like the legend Richard Marx, and I made a
Mm-hmm.
metal version of Right Here Waiting that he's singing on. And then in the middle of the month is a song that I did that Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park produced. So that'll be out. And that's all from just random ideas during streaming. And I usually love to do that entire production piece, do the whole thing online. The K-pop song took, I think, about 2 weeks of work on stream.
Right.
When you,
And
like,
that's out now?
Yes, that's out now. It's called Undercover,
Okay.
and it's under
I'll have to
Matthew
check
K.
that out
Heafy. Yeah,
too.
it's cool. So it's like Korean rapping by me. And before that, I could only say thank you in Korean, and now
Just like in Polish.
yes. Polish, I can say a couple more words. I know a couple bad words. Actually,
Do
my
it. They're gonna love it. Do it.
I think this is the C word though, so I might skip it on stream, but I know how to say
Okay.
yeah, my Polish friends taught me that one. But I have a side project called Ibaraki it's Japanese black metal, different genre of music
Okay.
that it didn't stem from Norway, but it's basically the capital of it is Norway. And I have the legend of Polish black metal, Nergal, is actually screaming on that song, and all his lyrics are in Polish. So I gave him a whole chunk of lyrics, and I was like, here are the lyrics, but I need you to translate them to Polish and scream them. So there's Polish on my Japanese black metal record.
Right. Okay. You talk so fast and I'm having trouble like
Sorry.
writing down the questions that I have. No, it's awesome. But I just have like, as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I got to ask him about this and I got to ask him about that. Okay, I remember. Because I know you stream like random stuff. Like we're streaming this right now, and I'm pretty sure you streamed that panel that you were on with Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that today. And what is like the weirdest thing you've streamed, or like the most random thing that you streamed?
I mean, this morning, the fact that I covered my entire stream in hot tub images, transparent images of that. And then right before we came on here, I was like photoshopping, not even photoshopping, I used a transparent image of an American flag bikini over myself while I was playing Trivium songs. Because right now on Twitch, a really big thing is hot tub streams. And I was like, well, how can I get into that? And I just put some hot tubs on myself, and we put ourselves in hot tub category, and we were the #1 stream in hot tubs. So
Wow.
that kind of stuff. It's the stuff that it is me to be funny. Like I'm not like a full-on shit poster meme kid, but like there's a degree of it I like to do that I've learned from my amazing followers, and it makes sense. So it's stuff that I wouldn't ever do on stage with Trivium, or maybe not even so much on my socials, but if it makes sense, like I don't really plan it. I just let it happen.
Okay. You mentioned the hot tub thing. I don't know anything about it, but I saw a video today. Well, I didn't actually watch it. I saw the link to a video that says, "Is the hot tub Twitch trend ruining Twitch?"
I mean,
Have you
I've
seen
been
this?
hearing that, those critiques. I haven't watched any of those streams.
Right.
But for me, it's like if you're a content creator and this platform is basically you can stream anything and promote anything and
Yeah.
do anything you want and make a living off of it, then I say by all means, all power to you, go for it. And if you're entertaining your audience, go for it. And I feel like, whatever. I hope the motivation is always creativity in a sense. Like, hey, entertaining is one thing, comedy is one thing, a show is another thing, whatever it may be. I love when people can take a platform and create something out of thin air. So I'm all for it. If they're having a good time and they're able to make a living and their audience is happy, then all the power to them.
What is like the most random thing you've streamed that's like kind of outside the regular setup? Like you mentioned obviously the backpack, so you can take it out in different places.
I've given yoga classes on the IRL backpack. I actually gave it to a magazine writer, but the stream was there too. The thing that I don't stream anymore that I thought was actually cool to stream, I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the last 8 years. That's something I found that I actually cannot stream. Like people can't handle it. Like people that don't know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they cannot handle two guys being that close, grappling. It just, the comment section, we just have to like ban everybody because they just can't handle it. We have to ban everybody because the comments are just so ridiculous and people get so mad.
Why? Why are they mad?
I mean, Jiu-Jitsu, let's face it, there's a lot of crotch in face. So, I mean, yeah, also, I mean, it's cool that it's a martial art, but a lot of people, they just can't handle it. So we just have to get rid of it. But Brazilian jiu-jitsu is an amazing martial art, and it's a pretty brutal, intense
Okay,
martial art. But
what else? What else ridiculous stuff did you stream?
I mean, I think the memery is pretty nuts. Like,
Okay.
again, like the fact that there is a hot tub in my head just floating out of it right now. It's stupid, but it's not that weird. So I think what's nice about it is that you know you can make anything out of thin air. That's what I like about the music world. That's what I like about the gaming world. What I like about the streaming world is you can create ideas out of thin air. Like now, a huge side business for me is actually consulting work. I do a lot of consulting work for. I've done them with schools, with festivals, with companies, with endorsement companies, with new partnerships that I've had, helping them out with, I don't know, anything, like explaining the concept of streaming, or how can I apply what I've done here to another company. Like I'm working with this amazing company called Growing Boulder. What they are, they're a 50 plus lifestyle cultural hub. I'm talking like 50 years old to 150 years old, and they're a new
Right.
active lifestyle brand that has amazing things. They interview really cool musicians. I mean, their covers will be people in their 70s covered in tattoos. It's an amazing brand, showing that aging can be an amazing thing as well. So we're launching an intergenerational gaming tournament. That's June 10th. That'll be on the front page of Twitch. It's 10 streamers that I know of all sizes with their 50 plus athlete. That could be their mom, their dad, their grandpa, their grandma, their uncle, their aunt, their great aunt, their neighbor, whoever it may be. And they're basically there just to run the stream and to help them out. But there's going to be an Among Us tournament. I think the grand prize is somewhere between $8,000 to $10,000 of stuff.
Right.
That a lot of my amazing companies that help, that sponsor me both in music and in streaming are all involved in. So it's making things like that up out of thin air, which is super fun.
Right. You mentioned your sponsors. This was one of my questions because you have, and I'm not an expert, but it seems to me that you have an unusually high amount of sponsors.
Yes, I do. They're all different levels.
A bit jealous. Why is that?
It's all
What's
varying
the
levels.
deal?
So Trivium, I've been in Trivium for almost 22 years now.
Right.
And so a lot of that, the majority of that
helps,
are companies that I've been using forever. Like I've been playing Gibson since I was 12 years old. So Gibson / Epiphone's a big one. If you're talking about like the ones in the about section, yeah, like any of the gear I use, like so the way in the music world, the way it works, it's like the musician will get gear. They say they're endorsed by them. They pretty much play exclusively. I've got a different situation where Trivium world, like everything I do, Trivium on stage, Trivium on tour, music videos, records, all that stuff that's purely Trivium. I'm just Epiphone Gibson for guitar. When it comes to stream, I can use any other boutique company I want. Like Aristides is a company I play a lot, Kiesel, TWS, things like that. My main partners for my channel, the ones that build the channel, the ones that help supply the channel with the PCs and the headsets. And, I don't know if you noticed this, but these are my ears, by the way.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Astro Gaming is a huge sponsor of this channel. Asus, 3N2, Elgato, G Fuel. Like these are the companies that help. They help keep the community strong. They help provide me with gear, the things I need to stream well. So those are like the biggest partners of this channel. So it's a lot. I do have an unusually high amount of sponsors, but if I wasn't streaming on Twitch, it would still be a large chunk of companies you'd see because of everything I've kind of accrued throughout the 22 years of music. That there aren't like competes, because when you see things like Dunlop and Groove Gear don't cross over each other because they're completely different things, or Dunlop Groove Gear and Dunlop Groove Gear, Fishman, the pickup company, like they don't step on each other's toes because they're completely different products.
Okay. And did you feel that the sponsorships also amped up like when the pandemic came, or was it something that actually, I'll end that question there. Did it pick up during the pandemic?
No, because I always want to make sure it makes sense. It has to be a company that, like I said, with Elgato, for example, Elgato is the company that you need their gear to stream. Like in order for us to see my DSLR, that you don't see, that's a webcam there, but the DSLR that I mainly stream from, you have to use one of their capture cards. And they're like the only company that I know of that makes these things. And I've been using it since I first started streaming. So then later on, now my amazing artist rep from Elgato, I worked with her for a campaign with Asus, where her company was hired as a third-party company to do some Asus stuff with me, and then she was hired by Elgato and brought me on her artist roster. So things have to make sense. Like there aren't products that I endorse that don't make any sense with the channel. Right. It has to be something I legitimately love, like the Whistle Pig thing. Me modeling rye whiskey on my socials. That's a fun thing. That's a thing that I've always loved. Good whiskey. They like my band. We talked to each other. I was like, hey, let's do a Lost in Translation parody with your whiskey. And they're like, yes, we will send you whiskey. You post about it, we'll give you whiskey. And it was like a really cool collab that we did. And I paid
Right.
for the video shoots and the photo shoots and the photographer and all that stuff and made it work. Same thing with the watch companies. So the watch stuff that picked up during pandemic. I was never into watches. One day I see a random DM on Instagram from a company, an Instagram profile called Above Luxury. I was like, are they trolling me? They're like, we want to find your guitars. Your guitars are sold out. We will send you watches if you send us 2 of your guitars. And I was like, I'll take
Wow.
a gamble, see if this is legit. I sent him out a black and a white
Okay.
Les Paul, my signatures because they were out of stock. And he sent me my first 2 luxury watches, a Tag Heuer Carrera and a Baume & Mercier Capelin S. And I started falling in love with watches, never knowing that how much hand building stuff goes into there. And then through my black metal friend, Ishan from Emperor, I met Tom Tiedemans, who has Tiedemans luxury watches. And then he and I approached Cyrus with the same idea. I said, making up things out of thin air. I said to Cyrus, hey, your watches are super cool. We'll provide a photo shoot, video shoot, full ambassador package. This is what I'll do. Here's my deck. Here's the reach that I have. Will you make me a watch
Cool.
for this? And they said yes.
Right.
So it's like
So
things.
your own watch.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
Cyrus solo
Cool.
that I've got in there, and now then for this year's campaign, I've written them a new metal theme song, hired a studio, had my drummer plan it, had a mixer master, so cover all those fees, cover the music video fee, cover the photo shoot fees, and see how we can work out something where it makes sense for both parties. So that's what I really love about this world because I befriended a great mentor slash friend who works at Growing Boulder, and before he was at Growing Boulder, he was a consultant. I was like, well, what's a consultant do? He's like, I basically tell people
Tell
strategies for
people
how
what to
to,
do.
tell people what to do. And that's how I make a living. I was like, that's insane. That's so cool. I was like, I have to. And this was like 3-4 years ago. I was having this conversation with him. I was like, I wish I had a way I could do that. And I didn't know what it was. But then
Right.
as I kind of started mastering, I don't know if it's mastering streaming in general, at least mastering streaming in my way, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that that's valuable information. And I love to share everything I can to all musicians or all friends or all people that want to start streaming or anyone that wants to do well on live streaming. But there definitely is an approach when there's like a business that's like, how can we monetize this? That's when I can be like, all right, well, I will be your consultant here and I will help you make this and you execute this plan. Maybe it'll work for you. And so that's the whole side thing. That's taken off from here because of the channel's success, because I know how to do this.
Right. So this is something that I really wanted to get into is how streaming can help musicians, especially during this time where, we haven't seen many concerts because of the pandemic. A lot of artists are not making money. So, what do you think artists, especially musicians, could be doing in order to stay active in the industry right now?
For me, it was different getting into the platform because I got into Twitch and I fell in love with Twitch, never getting into it with the idea of monetization. It was always, I want to give back to my fans. I want to connect with them. I want to give them a place where they can feel good and have a good time and meet fellow friends. Like nothing makes my heart warmer than I know my mods, a lot of them flew in from different countries from around the world to go to a wedding of one of our other mods in North Carolina, and they're all hanging out. They came down, did their honeymoon in Orlando. I met up with them, got to hang out with them. Like, I love that stuff.
Wow.
That's why I love to do
So
what I
they have
do.
a real community.
Yes, just like Trivium
Right.
Germany and Trivium Portugal and
Mm-hmm.
all these like little like grassroots DIY fan clubs that start up of these people who are able to become really great friends and have a close knit
Right.
community of pals, then that's the same driving force behind the channel. And it just ended up being a side effect of doing this that it became a monetary thing. So when pandemic first did start, I did have a lot of musicians that would I can tell when it's the right or wrong question. When it was I guess it's different though cuz we haven't made a penny off touring in 16 months and nor
Right.
has any band in the world. So it's difficult. Like if you truly do want to work the community you've already built and strengthen it, then yes, this is the platform you. And a side effect of it is that yes, you can maybe support yourself, hopefully support yourself, because I feel like Twitch is the greatest social media platform out there because you can just be there in the moment. There's no delay. It's you and it's raw and it's instant. But like if musicians are like, hey, where can I make more money, Patreon or Twitch? I'm kind of like, that's a hard question for me. I was like, do you want to foster community? Like, do you want to make your community good? Like that's and either platform works, but I'm saying like coming into it with the idea of the monetization can be tricky, but it's obviously a thing that has to be done, when you're not making your main gig. So I would say any musicians that have been out, stream. stream, and I was there early on, and I still, the message is the same. Any musician who wants to learn how to stream, any person who wants to learn how to stream, I will happily tell you how to do it. I will try to help you how to do it, and I can help strategize even. Like I had a friend who was a YouTuber, like, hey, what do I do on Twitch? I'm not really a gamer. What should I do? I was like, well, you should stream the process of you coming up with these ideas for what will be the end result of your YouTube product. Like if it's, is it you and your friends sitting on the couch hanging out laughing? Is it you guys sitting in a conference room and sketching ideas and playing these things out?
Right.
It's like you live stream that. That'd be amazing to see. Then the final product, you can even edit. You can even edit live. Sit there, you editing, talking to your chat and be like, all right, this scene here, like what do we do here? And then having that final product go up on YouTube. So I think that people streaming what they do and what they love to do, that's the same thing with, we're talking about hot tub streamers. If they're like, this is how I want to create my content, this is what I want to do, and this is the best way I can execute it, then all the power to them. Like figuring out the right way to keep people entertained. You have to enjoy what you're doing while you're streaming. I feel like it's very apparent
Yeah.
if you're not enjoying what you're doing, and I think that's a
And
quick.
no one wants to watch anyone not enjoy themselves.
Exactly. That's not fun. That's not fun.
No.
And it doesn't have to go as far as me. Like the way I said, I truly know my subs by name. I know them. I know what they're into, what games they're into, what their jokes are. And not everyone is like that. You don't have to go to that length. I genuinely want to go to that length. So you have to legitimately and authentically love what you're streaming. You do have to want to have a community. So if you don't, then there's no regulars watching you, and there does need to be some form of consistency as well.
Is there any, besides the concerts, which is obvious, but is there any kind of real life community action that's happening that involves also you and all the band? Because I know that the community is probably meeting, like you mentioned, the wedding, so they're doing stuff together. But do you guys do stuff with them too?
Absolutely. I mean, it was four quarters of our band. We're all streaming, but our guitar player, he kind of realized it's not really for him, so he's since pulled back. But 3/4 of us still stream all the time. 3/4 of us stream 2 times a day.
Wow.
2 times a day of us gaming together, even, and we'll bring out people from the channel to game with us as well. We've done 2 free Twitch shows with our entire band, all 4 of us engaging with chat, having our phones clipped to our mic stand so we could talk to the chat, just like we do this with all 4 of us. And that was an amazing experience. So yeah, we do that, and the majority of the people, like the majority of the mods that we have in here, are people that I've known. I've known Jody, one of our mods, since I was 18 years old, since the first UK tour. So these are people that we know in real life. They're people that we've met. They're people that we entrust, people that we want to spend time with. So it's, yeah, we do things with the 4 of us and everyone. Once we get back on tour, I'll be back to streaming every warm-up, every sound check, although I don't think we have sound checks on that tour, and every show itself from side stage, and keeping this going.
You mentioned just before Twitch versus Patreon, and I'm assuming this is a question that comes up during the consulting process that you do. How do you answer that question?
I always say I haven't, and it's true, I haven't personally used Patreon, so I don't know enough about the platform to give people insight. But if someone's like, what can I make more money off of? I'm like, I always say it's a toss-up. It's hard to know because I don't know about that platform at all. But I can compare YouTube to Twitch. And it's like that. It's like 1/100th is what I've made on YouTube in comparison to Twitch, because Twitch is like a direct live. We're here. It's an organic living organism. Although there are YouTubers out there that probably 100x my Twitch channel. So it's all relative on who the person is, and it's a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, and definitely I feel like I came into this strong and knowing how to entertain from the 21 years, or at that point it would have been 18 years, 19 years of Trivium. So definitely the Trivium stuff has prepared me for this. But this has in turn made me the best singer, screamer, guitar player, frontman that I've ever been, because of the amount of time I'm spending rehearsing those things on my channel.
Right. How do you deal with the misconception that people think that streaming is just for gaming?
It is tough because I do still have a lot of interviewers or people, or maybe sometimes companies that I work with, or that want to work with me, or other musicians or people local that don't get what I'm doing. But they'll be like, "Oh, so how's that video game thing going?" And I'm just like, or people that'll be like, "Hey, what are you doing on Twitch anyway? Like, is it you making Mario videos and putting that on YouTube Live?" And to that, I usually give a nice answer, but in my head, I'm like, it only takes a minute to see what something is. It only takes a
Right.
minute to do your homework on something, someone. Jumping onto the platform,
Right.
if you don't know what Twitch is, download it, get it on your computer, watch the biggest streamer, watch for a couple minutes, see how people talk, see
Mhm.
what the chat thing is doing, see what it is. It only takes a little bit of research to understand what something is, and I think that that's really key that I think the outside looking in isn't getting. And it's very easy
Right.
to understand. Like you just have to jump in
Yeah.
and do it.
Yeah, I think, we live in such a, I guess, age of information that being ignorant, it's kind of a choice.
Yes, like the amount of people that will ask me, like I'll post a song or a lyric or something or just or a piece of information. They're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "You're on your phone asking me this. You just type
Right.
that word into
Let me just Google
any
that for
search
you.
engine and it's right there." So
Right.
yeah, that's a whole
Why,
different
why do you think
discussion.
that why do you think that Twitch is in some ways so niche still? Because I was telling my friend a few days ago that I'm doing this because I was like, I'm stressing out, man. Like, she's like, it's gonna be fine. But what are you doing? Like, what is this Twitch thing? And like, she's I think 6 or 7 years younger than me, so I would expect her to be a little bit more aware. She had no idea. And so why do you think that is? Why do you think people are still so like we're so connected? I have like literally 4 devices in front of me right now and people still don't know what Twitch is.
They just have to jump in. I mean, it's probably like the first time someone's like, "What's Netflix?" Like
Right.
you have to try something out, and you might realize it's not for you. Same thing like we're talking about trivia in the beginning, and you saying that's not quite your type of music. Then I know right away what songs to show you. Like I know right
Okay.
away. All right, here's a small
How to
list.
get me.
Check these songs out. This is the gateway. So you go, all right, I can relate to some of these melodies. I can relate to some of these things happening, and then you could progress
Hmm.
further. So it is if anyone's ever wondering what something is, they just have to learn. And the amount of things I learn daily, like how quick meme culture evolves or how quick things like
Yeah.
Twitch does have its own language. It's got its own language that is denoted by emoji names. So people can describe how they're feeling from an emoji names code. And that's something that blew my
Wow.
mind at first. But then once you start to realize and you start to catch on to it, you're like, oh, I understand. Like the thing, Kappa is a big thing. Like if someone says something mean in your chat and then says Kappa, they're Kappa means like you're kidding, like you're being
Hmm.
sarcastic. But if someone says something mean and they're joking, they don't explain that they don't have that emoji, then it makes no sense. And you're like, oh, this
Okay.
person's being mean for no reason. So it's a quick thing. Like Pog means something's awesome. When I first jumped into this and
Okay.
people were saying Pog, I was like, oh, you mean those things that we played, those paper games that we used to play with in middle school? Like things just evolve so quickly.
Right.
Or Keck W is a really like there's a specific Spanish comedian from the 70s who had this crazy weird high pitched laugh that is like if you see people singing Keck W, that means they're laughing like super high
Okay.
pitch. And there's like there's Kiichi Keck W then, and things keep evolving and progressing. And I think it's exciting. It's hard to keep up with, but it's fun to see things just evolve in front of your face out of nowhere.
Right. Do you see a lot of the vernacular actually and a lot of the slang make its way into, let's say, mainstream real life?
Not yet, but I believe that it will. I believe that it will. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, you'll see people on their Twitters, their Instagram, their Facebook, like that will describe things by the meme, and
Okay.
I think it's awesome. Like, I remember the first time I ever met a streamer in real life, and they said, "Oh, I'm really PogChamp about that," and I was like, "The hell?" But then you start to realize, like, oh, they're speaking about the emoji, and I think it's really cool. I think that it's
Yeah.
because language and communication. I mean, it's such a hard thing to decipher, and that's what I do love about Twitch is the fact that we have that. It helps dictate the tone of the conversation happening. Like that's a big
Hmm.
issue that we have in the world of social media. It's hard to tell someone's tone and their meaning and what they're saying just by text. But I feel like with Twitch, even though I can't see their faces, like I understand the tonality of what they're saying to me. Like I understand that
Okay.
if it's something mean or something not mean, judging by the emoji that's near it, or if I play a song or I hit a bad note vocally and someone does a specific meme, like they're actually being mean. So it's almost like a new
Right.
language that you can decode human personality with. And I think maybe that's why I like this so much more because you can really tell what someone's saying without
Hmm.
hearing the tone and the inflections of their voice.
Is your audience ever really mean to you?
I mean, what's nice about Twitch is it is generally 99.9% positive. Like it
Right.
truly is, which is such a rare thing in the internet. Like for me, the
Yeah, because I
positivity,
was scared to do this because I thought people were going to be mean to me. It's like,
I'm
I don't
thankful that
want
I
to do
have a
this.
super super amazing community, and it's
Yeah.
not just my Twitch, it's also Trivium. Like our merch guy is someone who meets
Okay.
more of your fans than any other crew guy that ever will. Every merch person we've ever had has said Trivium fans are the nicest fans of any band I've ever met because
Wow.
I don't know why that is. I think part of it's an extension of how the band is, but I think it's also an extension of how the band conducts themselves. If there's a
Mm-hmm.
band of super toxic people or a super toxic streamer, their chat and their channel are probably super
Yeah.
toxic as well. It really is not that everyone's
They're
looking for
gonna track
example.
that.
Yeah, it's kind of it's the vibe, it's the emotion that you put in there. Like I really do believe in life to a degree of you get out of it what you put into it.
For
And I
sure.
try with our music, our band, the channel, it's making it an accepting place for everyone who is also accepting of all walks of life. Like we're accepting of everything that isn't out there to hurt or demean or make someone feel bad. And
Okay.
it's interesting that such an aggressive style of music it has that at the backbone,
Yeah.
but it's always been that. Like I have always been all
Right.
about that. And most I don't know, maybe it's 50-50 with metal. 50% is like that, 50% isn't like that. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm. Though I've heard this about metal. Like, the most metal I've ever gotten is to go to a Metallica concert. But I have heard this that like people that actually do metal music, you guys are all like kitty cats, actually.
Yeah, I mean the majority of them are some of the nicest people. I mean, the Metallica guys are some of the nicest people I ever met. Maiden guys are some of the nicest people I ever met. Um, and metal, I've always felt is for the underdogs. The people that are the underdog in life have been drawn to that
Okay.
because they can feel that that is similar to the vibes that they're feeling. And I've always loved it. That's what drew me to metal and to gaming. I felt like both of those things were for the underdog and or for the kind of the not necessarily full on outcasts, but I feel like it's the place where people with who have felt they've been into different things can all resonate with each other.
Right. Once again, I had this great question and it's just flown away, but I'm just gonna suck it up. Uh, Earlier, you mentioned that you have a deck. Is it like a pitch deck for your channel or?
It's for like it's something that we ended up having to develop because prospective streaming events would be like, well, what are your social media numbers and what's this and can you give your bio as well? So we made something
Okay.
that was concrete. So if there was something, if there was a partner for the channel that wanted to see analytics of what this channel truly is deep down, that we can be like, here it is in a nice bundled package.
Mm-hmm. And how does it work at the moment? Like, do you actively look for sponsors? Do they come to you? What's the process?
It's different. Each one's a case by case, but if I think of the main four sponsor banners that you see on the channel, Elgato, Astro, Asus 3N2. When I first ever played a PC game, basically since middle school, it was Overwatch on my friend's Asus laptop who worked at Blizzard. I posted a picture of it. I think I've been streaming at this point for a couple months or so, and I tagged Asus. I was like, "Hey, this is my first time ever gaming on a PC. I think your stuff's really cool." They took a huge risk. I just started the channel. I just started gaming. They're like, hey, we'd love to send you some stuff if you're up for putting our logo on some things. So Asus, back when I very first started, when I had like 10 viewers at a time, they wanted to partner with me, and I've been with Asus ever
Right.
since, and I'm good pals with them now. Thankfully, with Astro, it's a friend that I've known for years in the music industry, a photographer friend of mine who, once she was employed by Astro, she's like, hey, I think we could pair up together. And same thing again with Elgato. 3N2 is a local Jersey company that I met through the Metal and Honey Foundation. That's the fundraising that my wife and I do. That's also partnered with Extra Life. What that is 100% of the proceeds all go to our local children's hospital, which is Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital in Orlando. We fundraise for that after being given a tour by the Orlando health reps. They showed us around the Winnie Palmer Hospital. That's where our twins were to be delivered. And I loved what they showed me. And they showed me the stuff that was specifically made from fundraising. And I said, I want to do this too. So we started doing that. And he linked me up with 3N2. So it's always been, it's never been something that we've gone out and tried to seek out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to make sense. It has to make
Right.
sense it has to be, I feel like with newer streamers out there, like things that don't make sense yet can make sense in the end, but with a brand
Mm-hmm.
of the 22 years of Trivium or the 22 years of people knowing me,
Right.
it
It
has
has
to
to be
make sense.
authentic.
Yes,
Yeah. Like you don't want to advertise something or promote something that you actually don't use. I think your
exactly.
fans are going to smell that on you.
Absolutely.
They're
Yeah.
going to be
And
like,
I'll get
dude,
called
what's
on
that?
things immediately.
Yeah. That's when they're going to be mean to you. You sold out, Matt.
It happens
Yeah.
sometimes. Well, like that 0.1% of the time.
Yeah. Has it like okay, you've kind of already answered my next question, but I want to rephrase it a little bit because you did mention that you don't really go out looking for sponsors, but has there ever been a moment where you really wanted to work with someone because you thought it was going to be a really great partnership because you love their brand, and they just didn't get what you do
Yes.
because they don't get.
Yes, the desk
Tell
company
us
that I
about
use,
it.
and I will not shout out their company name, not of spite, not of spite,
Yeah, no.
but when the channel first started, I was like, wow, everyone sits down in games. That doesn't sound fun. Like I actually stand for 99 to 100% of my streams. I never sit.
Hmm.
Like I play
Yeah,
games at a
you're
stand desk.
standing now.
Yes. And I prefer to stand. And so I reached out
So
to the
weird.
desk company that was making allegedly the best stand desks. And I was like, hey, I'm just getting this. This is when the streaming was kind of first sort of picking up. I was like, hey, this is something that I like. Are you guys into the idea of this? And after they looked at everything, we just don't see how this works. And I was like, how does this not work? Like I
Right.
want to like I was pitching a healthier streaming initiative. Like, hey, we should be standing. So
Yeah,
people are sitting on their butts while they're doing games. Let's push this
that's
stuff
true.
more. But I think they weren't there yet, and they are probably
Hmm.
one of those companies that now is starting to see the effect of Twitch. I mean, the fact that I believe it was I'm paraphrasing on the companies. It was something like HBO and CNN or HBO and Netflix said that they view Twitch as their competition as far as like other entertainment apps go.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
and
I
that's
read this.
yes, and that's an amazing thing that
Yeah.
it's gone to that length. So that one I was a little bit like, come on, guys, this makes so much sense, and it would have
Hmm.
made so much sense, especially because there was a game that I was doing. It was myself, Dakota's, who's he's my favorite Twitch streamer in the world, one of the biggest Twitch streamers. Myth, one of the biggest and best Twitch streamers as well, and I think Yellow was on there as well as a Twitch streamer. And I was talking about standing, and Myth was like, "Wait, you stand in game?" I was like, "I stand in game about 100% of the time." And he's like, "Oh, what desk company you use?" And I was like, "Well, not throwing shade at them. I was like, just get whatever desk company." That
Right.
moment, there was about 60,000 people watching the four of us play games. Like that was a moment that it could have been like, "Well, here is Steve's
Right.
desk company," and that could have
Right.
been quite an introduction because then you get a couple. It doesn't have to be me. Grab a couple big
Hmm.
streamers to rock your desk, and there it is.
Yeah.
But it's the place. I felt like that one made a lot of sense because I do love to stream. But there's an example.
Right. Okay. That is interesting. Do you find that now brands are a lot more open? And if so, which kind of brands are
Um,
getting it that are not endemic? Because obviously the brands that are making the equipment, that's obvious, right? But what
mhm.
about the brands that are kind of not connected to
Definitely
streaming or
explaining it
gaming?
and teaching it to the musical company endorsements that I have. Like when they ask me like, "Hey, what is this thing?" Like they're
Hmm.
definitely a little bit more of like they don't understand what it is yet, but they want to. One of the
Right.
companies that I've endorsed for years, we're about to work something out where it makes sense, where we can actually bring them into the streaming world, where people can see them more as a prominent thing in streaming land. So I think we'll see a little bit of that back and forth, but again, it's not something I'm seeking out. It's more now if someone asks, someone has a question, I'll help them out.
Right. Um, what do you think that? How can I phrase this question? Uh, in terms of being a successful musician now, do you think musicians are going to have more luck with something like Twitch rather than Spotify?
The big thing, and I think a lot of musicians will disagree with me, is that you do need both. Like we do see a
Okay.
lot of artists. I mean, even today, I saw a lot of musicians that I respect and love. They talk about how bad their streaming rates are and how bad it is and how they don't make any money off streaming. We were lucky to set up a very good deal when we got into everything and when our catalog was going up on streaming and DSPs. Like we have had a manager who has had my back he's been managing me since I was 15 years old,
Wow.
and he was a lawyer before being a manager and is a manager slash lawyer now, and he was able to get really great rates for us. And with us having our large back catalog that was then put on streaming, and you have these records from 2003 on, and we've got 9 records spanning from 2003 to 2019, and all of these while we're not pulling in Drake numbers or Billie Eilish numbers, it's small little bits, small incremental plays that do fund the things you have to do. Like our last record costed $300,000 to record. That is
Right.
$300,000 that we either have to pony up ourselves or take as a loan from the label, which later on you pay back in streaming royalties. So
Yeah.
it's like those are the unseen costs that people don't understand with the music industry. But thankfully, like I
Yeah.
said, we do have good streaming rates. They're not any better than anyone. Like it all depends on what your label, your management, and your publishing companies all work out. And we thankfully do have a good one. It's not like we're rolling an insane amount of royalties from it, but I mean, you look at an artist's numbers and spins on different platforms, and that's kind of indicative of like a steady income stream. Like if like look at Justin Bieber's numbers in the billions, like he is making
Right.
a lot of money off streaming. There is no question because it ramps up at that point. That's why anyone's ever like, how do I support my favorite band with buying music? And I say, if you truly want to support them, buy the vinyl and stream the songs all the time. Because if you buy something once, it's a one-time purchase that exists once. But if you stream the same song every day or every week, or you listen to something 100,000 times in your lifetime, or 1 million times, or 10 million times in your lifetime, all those plays are giving small amounts that add up.
Right. Right. Do you think that live streaming will be the future for musicians?
Um, I think you have to have both. You have to both. Oh, sorry, I
Again,
kind of digressed
both.
away from that
Always
point that
the
I mentioned.
both.
Yeah, you gotta have both because like there were moments I was like, wow, I could just stream and probably be fine for the rest. I'm like, however, the
Right.
reason why the stream did well in the first place is because all the work we laid with Trivium, bringing Trivium fans in to support me on this new platform, and then that
Hmm.
platform, the platforms they grow together. It really needs to be
Okay.
together, and for a band to do well, bigger bands than us, like we're right in the middle of a band. The bands bigger than us don't have to live stream because they're at that volumizing point of streams, of radio plays, of merchandising, of being a band that has a much wider breadth of fans that can support them from micro increments, and they don't have to live stream. A band in the middle has to grind, has to do paid for live shows, does need to do other things to keep themselves afloat. And the bands below us, the middle down, are the ones I really fear for after this because live streaming is expensive. I mean, our expenses to put on the lighter distant mirror were super expensive because we decided to hire Muse's lighting director and build
Hmm.
like metallic staging and rent an
Right.
entire school's venue and fly in crew and all of that stuff. So that those expenses are definitely there, and I feel like you do need to have both, at least for the middle size down. Maybe the higher ups you don't have to do it, but why not have yourself out there more? Like there is so much content that everyone is hit with at all times from all the people they follow, from all the bands they like. It is relentless and it's very hard to stay ahead of the pack. So if you have your band out there on multiple platforms and it's I don't even know if sure there's probably a risk of oversaturation at a point, but I think there's so
Yeah.
much content that you almost wouldn't notice it. Like it's better to have your message there than it get buried by someone else's because you don't want to have too much out there. I
Right.
think you do learn the proper balance.
Yeah. You mentioned that the rest of the band also streams. Are they streaming different stuff to you?
Um, no, they also stream music and games. Music and games.
Okay.
It's a slightly different format than mine, but they are doing that as well.
Okay. And when are you guys going back on tour? Is that
Uh,
happening yet?
the
Like, what's
next
the deal with that?
This tour's been moved twice or once, but it's Megadeth,
Right.
Lamb of God, Trivium, and Flames, and that's due for August 20th to start. So, fingers crossed. Hopefully, because it's been a long time since we played a show. It's been a long time since we've been able to do that, and
When is
things
the
are looking good.
when is the last time that you guys actually played a real live show in front of a real live audience?
Australia, maybe 17 months ago.
Oh, Australia.
I love it there.
That's my home.
That's awesome. That's
Ever-
awesome. I love it there.
yeah. Where did you guys play?
We played. It was for what festival was it? I can't remember the name, but it was like it wasn't Soundwave, it wasn't Big Day Out, but it was another thing. But Australia has always been one of our best countries in the world, and actually, our fourth record is where we started doing well in Australia. Every record we've done has done good in a different place. Second record cracked the UK. Third record didn't really crack anywhere, kind of opened the doors for Europe. Fourth record did very well in Australia. Fifth record very well in Germany. Seventh record did very well in the US. Yeah, it's all over the place. It's weird.
Right. So listen, we've got like a few minutes left, and I want to ask you the questions that I always ask at the end. And the first one is, what would you? No, wait, I didn't ask you my favorite question. Okay, we've got like a couple more. If someone asks you, what do you do for a job? What do you say?
I play the music that me and three of my favorite people in the world get to make together, both on stage, on records, and live streamed.
Do you think you're more of a streamer musician or a musician streamer?
I've definitely logged. Damn, it's hard to tell. I've probably logged equal
Hmm.
hours in both because a
Right.
typical tour will play 30 to 90 minutes, but then I stream 4 to 6 hours a day. So maybe
Hmm.
I've tied the hours.
Gotcha. All right, now we can finish up with the two questions I really finish up with, which is, what would you say to a musician who would like to do what you do on streams? What would your advice be to them?
Start immediately. Don't wait on something. It's the same piece I
Right.
said 16 months ago to all musicians wanting to jump in. Don't wait. Don't say I'm going to start streaming once I built my stream room. Any of that
Mm,
stuff. Just start. If you're a musician, you already have a fan base. Could be large, could be small, could be something in between. Stream off your phone if you don't have anything else. Stream off your
right.
laptop, webcam and built-in microphone. It's gonna be rough, but your people are gonna want to support you because they want to see you because you've been gone for 16
Mm.
months. Start immediately and start building your rig in the meantime as your channel starts to grow with you.
Okay. And what advice would you give to your younger self?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
You can't say that.
Nothing,
You're ruining my
because
question, Matt.
every mistake, every good thing, every bad thing you've ever done has led you to this moment. And so I've done things I don't like. I've had bad and good things happen to me, bad, good, medium, terrible, great, and I would just rather leave all that because it put me right here, and I feel like I'm in a very good
Right.
place right where I'm at this moment.
Okay, you're the first person to say that. Wow. Okay, I dig it. I dig it. All right. So, listen, thank you so much for doing this. It's been a blast. I survived. I'm so happy I
Everyone's been super
survived.
stoked. They've all been saying like your questions have been awesome and you're a great
Oh,
interviewer and all that stuff.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they're so sweet.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
they're
Wow.
great.
Wow, this is a good experience. I can do this with someone else now and not freak the fuck out.
Heck yes. Heck yes.
Great. So listen, I'm going to hit stop on the record and do not close the browser.
Okay. So will you still
can-
hear and see me then?
Yeah, yeah, you'll
Okay.
see what happens. So thanks, Matt. Peace out. And see, we're still here,
Okay, cool.
but we're not recording anymore. So it's gonna download now,
Mhm.
and then we can bounce out.
Okay, awesome. So you might hear me blabbing to them for a minute because I'm gonna.
You can totally blab to them.
Okay, awesome. But I won't hear you when I take these off. So
Ah,
you'll hear all the
okay.
bad things I'm about to say about you.
Oh, cool. All right.
But
so,
I can't hear what you're saying. Okay, thank you so
all
much
right,
for
well,
everything.
thanks so much.
All right,
Have
great
a
to
good
meet you.
one.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, chat, that was awesome. I actually do need to go. 4:30. That means my children start getting violently insane. But that was fantastic. So who is streaming right now that we can raid? Is Paulo or Alex? Who did we get earlier?